Welcome to the IdioFacto live stream for Sunday, the 14th of November 2021, for the second time for some reason, because apparently I do not know computers, even though I pretend that I do. So, how very exciting for us.
I do apologise for taking that very moment to adjust my webcam.
We've just been
We only
sitting there
had
for
5
4
minutes
minutes.
to wait, and it's fine.
Actually, probably about a half an hour before that.
Yeah,
True.
that's true. We will get better at this. We are professionals. Actually, we're not professionals at all.
No one's
if you're
paying us.
professionals, you have to
Yet.
be paid, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're in no way professionals. Hope that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
I was, yeah.
Tell us what you told us just before, and then that wasn't live streamed.
Would you like me to just repeat my story and just
Please.
So
you just act
for
like
the
it's not the first time?
for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
record,
definitely.
we thought we were live, and we were streaming as if we were live for about 5 minutes before we realized that we weren't. So that's great. Levi's told a whole story in between then, and we heard it. We're just going to pretend that we didn't hear it. Go for it, Lev.
Oh, I was just saying it's been raining here.
Oh,
Pretty much.
has it?
Wow,
Oh.
very surprising. I made a hilarious joke about that being like Mount Gambier most of the time anyway, and that was
Yeah.
it's still pretty funny.
And I made a defensive comment about the fact that it's not like that all the time. It's a lovely place to be. And
It was a lot funnier than we're making it sound right now, but that's fine.
Anyway, talking about something that is actually news. Sam, how'd you go this afternoon? You had a big race.
I had a race. It was all right. Did okay.
That doesn't sound like it was all right.
Oh, look, I ran a 120 and a 300. The 120 had a really bad start out of the blocks, just didn't get going. And then the 300, I felt like I ran a bit better. So still early in the season, working on it, but
Yeah, good one.
yeah.
Is this just like a time trial, or do you race against other people?
Other people?
So, I'm guessing by the fact that you didn't tell us what place you came, it wasn't good.
Oh, in my heat in the 120, I came 4th out of 8, and in my 300, I came, I think it was 5th out of 6 or 5th out of 7 or something. Yeah.
Okay,
It was all right.
not too bad.
Yeah.
So second or third last, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying
I was
fifth.
one of the people
Fourth
that
and
lost, that's
fifth,
for sure.
rather than. Oh, so if you're in the bottom half, that's a loss, is it?
If you don't win, you lose.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Exactly.
That's like the powerlifting competition that I was in. I was fourth. I was in fourth place.
Out of
Which sounds a
four.
lot better than out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So you lost.
Whatever. If
What
you
have you
ain't
been up
first,
to,
you're
Matt?
last. I have not been competing in anything. Yeah, no, I've been just doing some work around the house and fixing up the chook pen and cleaning up the house, doing a bit of a spring clean, even though it's only spring for another couple of weeks. But yeah, that's been the extent of my weekend. Super exciting.
We've been doing the same thing. I almost made it my recommendation last week to have a deep clean of a certain room in your house. I didn't. Maybe that's like a sub recommendation. Carry over.
That's a
from
really
last week.
terrible recommendation. So
But no, oh man, but it has made a world of difference. Just the feeling of knowing that room that you're always ashamed of is now clean and not an embarrassment is brilliant. Like in my case, it was the shed. We cleaned the shed out, which is a big room.
it is a very big room.
If it's not just a bedroom. This is the entire shed. So we spent actually probably 3 full days in there just pulling stuff apart. We basically stripped the entire shed of all of its contents, put it all in the middle of the room, in the middle of the shed, and then worked out like, okay, what do we put back in its place and what do we get rid of by either giving away or selling or putting in the bin.
Do you have
So
any
how
rule you go by
much-
for cleaning or for throwing things out?
I don't have a Marie Kondo type rule, but if I picked it up and I thought to myself, am I going to use this? And if I thought I could probably use it one day, then I would throw it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if I didn't have like an exact, like, yes, this is the tap that I'm going to put on that post in the orchard next week, then I would throw it out. If I was like, a length of PVC pipe that I might maybe one day use for some guttering somewhere, I'd throw it out.
What if, like, next week you have a bit of PVC pipe that you need to use, or you need a bit of PVC pipe? You're going to go out
Well,
and
then
buy some
I'll
more?
go and buy it. Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I would
that
just go and buy
makes
it
sense.
because what usually happens is, and this is why I had so much shit in the shed, was because I would need to do a job, and I'd say, for example, I needed PVC pipe, and I'd go, oh, I need PVC pipe. I better go to Bunnings and get some PVC pipe. And then I get home and I go, oh, I already had that PVC pipe in the shed. Oh, well, I've got some more now.
Now I have
and of course, you
3
don't
bits
use
of
it all,
PVC pipe.
so you have spare every time.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's true.
unless you've got huge quantities of something.
Or you've got a place to store it, like semi-permanently. If you had your own Bunnings, basically. Yeah, is your shed not somewhere you can store all that stuff?
Well, I don't just have endless shelving. Like, it's a place where Chrissy's going to park her car, and
Yeah,
like
right.
I've got a workbench, and we store all of our stuff in there, or camping gear, and we want to get a lockable cabinet for our dive gear and that kind of thing. So we don't just have like racks and racks worth of storage space for spare odds and ends, bits and pieces.
Right.
So half a foot of PVC pipe here and there.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my boring story about cleaning a shed.
Yeah, and that'll be your recommendation. Everyone should clean the shed or a room in your house. Super exciting adult life, that is.
Yeah.
Well, I've been busy trying to grow a moustache as well. I don't know if you've noticed, but
Yeah, I have noticed.
Certainly a moustache. And then if nobody believes in that one, then I've got this one too.
That was thickening up nicely.
Yeah, no, it's getting there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not quite there yet, but we've got another 2 weeks to go, so I'm sure it'll be fine by the time we finish.
It's got sort of more legs than I was expecting.
Oh yeah?
Like, I know you can't join the handlebars.
Yeah, I can't join the
but it does.
It's got more legs.
Go down a little. I don't know what you'd call it. Handles. Handles on the bar. Yeah.
I would really like to grow like the long curly one because that would be sufficiently disgusting. But just so I could twirl them and be like, like
I think
the guy from Moulin Rouge. Like
I think
Richard
what you might
Roxburgh's
do
character from
is if you were to shave the top of the moustache and just have like one of those really thin moustaches.
Oh yeah, they're awful.
Just goes along the lip.
Oh, that's pretty terrible. I don't think I want one of those. Thanks. This is bad enough.
Maybe not. Yeah.
This is dirty 80s cop enough for me, thanks.
So speaking of 80s dirty cop moustaches.
Go on, I'd love to see this segue. Okay.
Did you guys read that there's 2 new treatments for COVID that have been announced this week?
I vaguely saw that.
I did hear that, yeah.
How good was that segue? Nailed it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, two new treatments. One
this is treatments, not preventions.
Treatments, yeah. Both antivirals, one by a company called Merck and one by Pfizer. They both look really good. Both look really promising. So Pfizer's antiviral Paxlovid cut hospitalizations in their trial by 89%.
Oh, shit.
So treating patients with mild to moderate disease, it cut people requiring hospital by 89%. So that's a huge difference. And Merck's is called molnupiravir.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And it's in their trial. So they treated patients with mild to moderate COVID, and 7.3% of the patients who received molnupiravir were either hospitalised or died, compared with 14.1% in placebo. So it's basically a halving in hospitalisation and death.
Oh. Well, these drugs that already existed that have been repurposed for COVID?
No, new antivirals.
Complete new. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, based on previous tech and that kind of thing, but yeah, just a new targeted antiviral. So 2, that's great.
So a targeted antiviral, does that mean it wouldn't work on other viruses?
It would. I haven't looked into it enough to see if it's like specific to the COVID spike protein or anything like that.
Okay.
Or even just
but-
coronaviruses in general?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I was wondering.
yeah.
Like, could it be used to treat the cold?
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
That's
Very
not a
different.
coronavirus.
Influenza and
Is it not?
coronavirus.
Oh,
No, it's
I
influenza.
always get confused. Influenza is the coronavirus. Right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Can't actually see it in their press release. But either way,
So the Pfizer one,
that's
that's
positive
fairly new, because the molnupiravir, that was a few weeks ago that was announced, wasn't it? So
well, they've announced that in their early stages it looked promising, but then they've just announced this week that they've finished their phase 3 trials, and the results are good. And then the day after, Pfizer went, oh, we need to announce ours as well. So they've announced, I think they've announced preliminary data from their phase 3 trials. I don't think their phase 2 trials are quite finished, but yeah, looking very good though. Anything we can do to reduce hospitalizations and severe illness is
yeah, well,
great.
that 89%, that's huge.
Because I guess that's the next step, isn't it? Like, even once we get enough people vaccinated for a period of time when there's still high levels of COVID floating around, obviously the R value is going to be less than 1, so cases will decrease. But just because of the there is still a likelihood of in some people of getting sick with COVID, even if you are vaccinated. Like, it's not complete cover in every single person. So it's good to have treatments as well, I guess. They're still important even once we do have a high level of vaccination. Yeah,
that's right. So, I mean, with Delta, the rates are still quite good. Pfizer and Moderna and AstraZeneca, all the available vaccines in Australia, they're all quite good against Delta. But it's not at the 96% level. It's a little lower. I think it's around 88%. So still really good for a vaccine. Anything above, really, when they were aiming to get these vaccines out, anything above 50 would have been great. So
Right.
they're very good vaccines.
Yeah, right.
I'm pretty sure Johnson & Johnson in the US has like a 56% or something prevention rates, but it's a single dose. Yeah, but then obviously that leaves 10% of people exposed will be infected. So then we need to treat those patients. But obviously the less people there are, the less chance of severe illness, the less people that are going to hospitalize. So anything,
and the less load on the healthcare system.
That's right, because people getting infected and getting mild symptoms is not the concern. If that's all it did to everyone, we really wouldn't be that worried about it. But it's obviously the people that are being hospitalised and are in ICU for weeks or months, and obviously the patients that die as well. So anything we can do to reduce those numbers, the better.
Do you know much about the difference between the different types of vaccinations? Because I think Pfizer and Astra are both mRNA vaccinations,
No,
aren't they?
Pfizer and Moderna are both mRNA.
Right.
AstraZeneca is not mRNA.
No, that's a more traditional type of vaccine, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the
Right.
inert virus.
Yeah, I can't remember what the name of it. I'm blanking on the name.
Yeah. I read this the other day. We read this last week when we were talking about the...
Essentially, it's an inactivated part of the virus that gets presented to your immune system.
Yeah. Okay. And then what is there's another vaccination that's coming out. It's supposed to be more traditional as well. Is it the Novavax?
Yeah, that's the one that was. Let's just look at the TGA to see if there's an update on that. Because last we looked, the Novavax had been monitored for quite a while, or being evaluated for quite a while, but hadn't been approved yet. Okay. Whether that was just just needing some more data or waiting for more trials. Okay, so looking at the TGA website on that same page as last time, COVID-19 vaccines undergoing evaluation.
I'm looking at
Looks
that one
like
too.
Novavax is still under evaluation.
It's a viral vector. That's what
Mm.
AstraZeneca one is. Viral vector.
There's another article here.
Yeah.
That's titled "How Protein-Based COVID Vaccinations Could Change the Pandemic."
Protein vaccines. I would
This is
assume.
This is in nature.com. I don't know what their take on everything is.
Mm.
Jabs from Novavax and other biotech firms are coming. Scientists say they have a lot to offer.
I would imagine it would be fairly similar to an mRNA vaccine. So, protein subunit vaccines contain specific isolated proteins from viral or bacterial pathogens. So, wall, bacteria, kind of something. Okay. So, seems like it's something that has been used before, for example, the Hep B and pertussis vaccines, protein subunit vaccines, pneumococcal vaccine. Right.
Okay.
So basically, the point of any vaccine is to expose your body to a low dose or a low exposure of something you're trying to protect against. So common ways of doing this is just an inactivated form of the virus, and they basically just are able to inactivate the virus by preventing or by changing the RNA that allows it to replicate. So you can have a whole kind of dead virus. You can have part of the virus, which is a viral vector. The new ones are the mRNA, which is a specific sequence of mRNA specific to that virus, or the protein is basically just a run of proteins that are specific to that virus as well, or to a bacteria.
But the thing that annoys me, I've heard numerous people who have been vaccinated. I've heard numerous people say, like, "Oh yeah, I get the flu vaccine every year, but every time I get it, I get the flu. Like it gives me the flu," and I in polite company I just go, "Oh yeah,
Yeah."
But actually, that's impossible.
Yeah, I think that's really a misunderstanding of what the flu is and what the common cold is and what just symptoms of your immune system activation are. When people, I think this is more common in the US than here, but people just call colds the flu.
Yeah.
And I don't think they realize that the flu is specific to influenza.
And the flu is also quite a bit more
generally
acute,
a more severe illness.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What virus causes the cold? Causes the common cold?
Lots of them, but things like rhinoviruses are really common ones. They're ones in your nose. There's para-influenza viruses, which tend to be less severe than influenza, but there's thousands of viruses that we can be infected with.
Oh, really? Okay, and they all cause the same, because pretty much I guess without taking note of the symptoms each time, I know that I've got a cold as opposed to any other illness because the symptoms are pretty much the same every time.
But they're just symptoms of your immune system being activated, right?
Not necessarily. Runny nose, sore throat, cough, all those kind of things. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, so that's an upper respiratory tract infection, which is just caused by a lot of very common viruses, usually like a rhinovirus or something like that.
Interesting. Yeah.
So how many people when you were doing your GP rotation, for example, how many people would you get a day just coming in with a cold and you say, yeah, you've got the cold, you've got a cold?
It really varies widely depending on what GP practice you're in.
Right.
Because if you're in a bulk billing clinic or if a lot of GPs they'll have one GP for the day, doesn't have any booked in patients, so then it will be all the same day bookings and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the same day bookings, tons of it. You get heaps of it. The much less common, the ones that are booked, days, weeks in advance, you don't really get that very often. But yeah, heaps of people.
So what you're saying is if you wanted to be a doctor but you just wanted to kind of slack off, be a same day booking GP, and you just write people medical certificates for.
That would be very boring. But you also get people coming in really unwell because they're trying to get in to see someone the same day. So it's a very interesting mix.
Yeah,
Oh,
that is
true,
a
yeah.
really.
Mm.
It's either like really mild and not really anything to worry about, or like super severe and probably should go to the hospital, but don't want to sit in emergency for 4 hours.
Yeah. For example, in my last GP placement, which was in my last year of medical school, on a bulk billing, like a walk-in day, we had a few people come in with, cold symptoms, needed sick certificates. We had a couple of people come in needing script refills, people coming in for that kind of stuff. And then we had a guy come in saying he hadn't passed urine since the night before, and we scanned his bladder and he had like 900 mils of urine in his bladder. So he was in urinary retention, which can cause it to become quite unwell quite quickly.
Because if your bladder ruptures, that's like really bad, hey?
Yeah, it'd have to be pretty extreme for the bladder to rupture before someone manages to put a catheter in you. But it causes what's called hydronephrosis, which is basically increased pressure.
On your kidneys?
Like backed up pressure. Yeah, exactly. Backed up pressure from the bladder through the ureters to the kidneys.
See, this is good. This is where the etymology thing, I'm such a nerd. But etymology is like a thing that I love about anatomy. You can pretty much work out what's wrong with somebody just based on the name of it, right? Or vice versa.
Yeah, I find it really maddening that there's a lot of that. There's a lot of Latin and Greek mostly. Yeah. But then there's so many things that are named after people, and you're like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's so frustrating.
Hodgkin's or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a bit like taxonomy as well. Like sometimes it makes total sense. Like there's an Australian plant called Exocarpus capriciforma is the Latin name, and exocarpus meaning external seed. The seed is on the outside of the fruit.
Yeah.
So in that way, it's great. But then there'll be another plant whose genus is or family or genus is like, Banksia, for example, which is the explorer that Banks.
Banks,
so it's a name rather than a feature of the plant.
It is pretty cool about taxonomy though. When, especially in insects, you really can tell a lot about the characteristics of an insect based on its name. So, like, I think there's is it an order or a class of insects called Aptera, Aptera, and so the Ptera, does that sound familiar to you? Terra?
Yeah.
Like pterodactyl?
I can't think why. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it means winged. So Aptera is not winged because they're ateris basically. So Aptera. Right. So they're not winged. Yeah. There's no wings, which is unusual for insects. Insects usually have wings. Or then you've got like Coleoptera. So their wings are hardened. They're like the coleo bit means hardened. So Coleoptera is hardened wing. So that's pretty cool.
They're beetles, aren't they? That's true.
Beetles, hardened wings.
Yeah. Lepidoptera.
Lepidoptera. So that means two
is that butterflies?
sets of wings. Yeah, Lepidoptera is butterflies. So yeah, two sets of wings, I think.
Yeah, I remember Coleoptera, Lepidoptera. What a dragonfly?
Odonata.
Oh, Odonata. They're not a Ptera.
No. Lepidoptera.
Yeah, I studied etymology. I studied entomology at uni.
I studied etymology.
Yeah, I did. One of my units. Actually, the unit was called Forest Health, but because of one of the main things that causes health problems in trees is insects, we needed to learn a lot about insects. And it was actually amazing. This unit that we did, it was true entomology. We went out and caught insects and put them in a jar that had I can't remember what it was. It was some, it was a liquid that was highly volatile and gave off fumes. And essentially it puts the bug to sleep and then eventually kills it. And you soak a rag in this thing, you put it in a jar, and then any insect.
It's just carbon dioxide.
No, this was like an alcohol.
Oh, okay.
some sort of alcohol vapor. Anyway, it would kill the insects. So we went out into the forest and caught all of these different insects, and we had to bring them back to the lab and
Classify them.
Classify them, but we had to make pin boards.
Oh,
so we
yeah.
got like polystyrene board, and you hollow out the exact shape of the insect, and then you have to lay its wings flat and pin it using the entomology pins, and little strips of paper and everything, so that when it dies, and then when it eventually dries out, all you need is the central pin, the one central pin that's through its thorax, and it will stay with its wings in a spread position, and all of its legs will be evenly. It was such a fun unit.
Yeah. I did a unit called invertebrate zoology, which was the same. We had to do an insect collection as well.
One of the creepiest things was I went out and I caught a longicorn beetle.
Oh yeah,
and
they're creepy looking things. You want to?
They are very creepy.
Up.
Oh yeah, I'll get one up.
Get one up.
I caught one in a forest because they were eating. They eat wood, and this is them. They can eat wood. I think a lot of borers are longicorn beetles, but they've got these big, powerful jaws. Anyway, I caught this thing that looked very similar to that, and I put it in the jar, which, I was supposed to kill it, and then I brought it home and I put the pin through its body, and it did nothing. And so I spread its antennae out and everything. I put pins in place to hold it out. And the next day I came out and I was studying at the table, and I could hear this scratching noise. And I thought, what is that? And I looked down, and this thing that had a pin through it was, with its legs, it was scratching.
Oh, no.
Trying to crawl away. I was like, oh, this is not good. What do I do?
What did you do?
I took all the pins out and put it back in the jar.
And left it there for a week.
Well, yeah, it died eventually. Yeah, tough little buggers.
Oh,
yeah, they're ridiculous. So lepido means scale, and
scaly wings.
And Terra means wings. So
that's right. Yep.
Right.
Butterflies and moths, Lepidoptera.
Yeah, entomology just as interesting as etymology.
And etymology is even more interesting. So.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah. Just quickly back to COVID.
Oh yeah, that's another good segue, Sam. You
see, there was more protests today in Melbourne.
No. I didn't. Were there?
More protesting the vaccine mandates, and the measures. They're not really lockdown measures anymore, but the social distancing measures.
Oh, see, you mean the public health measures?
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, so there was thousands and thousands of people there again. So that, the images look concerning. Don't get me wrong, they are concerning because
have you got some news footage and stuff?
Find one. Let's have a look. Melbourne. See if there's any images. I did see an image before, and I can't remember where I saw it.
What's concerning about them? Just that people aren't socially distanced, or?
Oh yeah, not at all.
Do you guys find it really uncomfortable when people stand too close to you these days? I was in the shops the other day, and someone stood too close to me, behind me, and it was really uncomfortable. It's just they weren't even that close. They were probably a meter away, but that's too close for me now. I feel really uncomfortable.
Is it? I can't relate. I sort of haven't really.
Oh my god.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I do not consent. Kill. What does that say? Kill the bill. Kill the bill.
Kill the bill.
Sack them.
Shame on you, auntie.
Auntie. That's ABC, is auntie.
Broadcast.
Isn't it? Oh yeah.
Australian Broadcast
Corporation.
Something coercion.
Coercion.
I think they spelled it wrong as well.
Yeah, they would have.
So
There's no way these
thousands of
people can
thousands of
spell
people there,
coercion.
right? That's fairly concerning. However, this is in a state that's got 92.7% single dose and 87.3% double dose.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yes, it's a lot of people out protesting, but vast majority of the population is doing the right thing.
But
You would
what
have-
is
you
what
would
is
have
the
to assume that
population of
most the people there
Victoria?
are not vaccinated.
I'm
So
gonna guess 6.5 million.
it is Lev.
What was it?
6.681 million as
Wow.
of September last year.
That's pretty good.
I haven't counted it. I haven't been out for my my yearly count for
That's
a
close.
couple of months, so
I'm
it's
impressed.
obviously increased a little bit since. But
Yeah. So 10% of that is Matt.
668,000.
Put you on the spot.
I was like, wait, that's an order of magnitude. You know how bad I am at order of magnitudes. Orders of magnitude.
So, 93% of the population is double vaxxed, and that's going up every day.
Yeah,
so
but then that's still 700,000 people that haven't been.
it is. It's still a lot of people that haven't been vaccinated. But once we get to 80%, and especially 90%, especially 95% fully vaccinated, the risk of transmission drastically reduces. So even if there are, and that's the aim of a vaccine rollout, is to get everyone who is eligible and able to take the vaccine to take the vaccine to protect those that can't get it.
Well, if you
Obviously, a lot of these people are not people that can't get it. They're people that don't want to get it.
so if you've got like 95% of the vaccinated population, sorry, if you've got 95% of the population vaccinated, then that means 5% isn't. The chances of one unvaccinated person coming across another unvaccinated person is 5% times 5%. So it's like 2.5%. No.
Yes, but
0.25. Here we go. We're doing bloody orders of magnitude.
5% of 5%.
0.25%.
Yeah, but people with similar ideologies tend to congregate together.
That's true. Yeah, but just
So
like
it's something
random
that'll run
people
rampant in
walking
the little
past each
area.
other on the street.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I
For
had
example, with the high vaccine rates, but then outbreaks in places that aren't vaccinated, the UK had a measles outbreak about 3 years ago, the first one in decades, because of this small population of a high anti-vaccination rate.
Right.
was it at a measles party?
Probably. I
Or a
don't know.
chickenpox party. I've
But
heard
it
of
was thousands
chickenpox
of people. It was a
parties.
proper outbreak, like thousands of people.
Is it? I've never heard of a measles party, but I've heard of a chickenpox party. I know that.
I think.
Chickenpox party. Sounds way more fun.
Yeah, I think it's the same. I had a moment the other day where I had a haircut and I was in the hairdressers, and my hairdresser was saying something about it was about the border, the South Australian Victorian border opening up Tuesday week, actually, which is, I'm very excited for it. It's the 23rd of November because I have a lot of friends that live in Victoria, and I'd love to visit them. And there's a lot of things that I want to see in Victoria that I've missed. I would typically do a lot of travel into Victoria, and I haven't been able to, so it's going to be great. But I happened to mention that, and the hairdresser said, yes, it's good and bad. She said, I can see the good things. I can also see the bad things, though. I don't think it's going to be very good for our healthcare system. And I went, oh, that's fair enough. And there was a moment I could tell that she was hesitating as well to say it, but she said, and I didn't know, it could have gone either way, but she said, that's why it's so important for everybody to get vaccinated, because, not everybody can get vaccinated, and the more people that are vaccinated, the more people that are vulnerable that you're protecting, and, which was the same. I was in total agreement, but there have been a couple of times recently when I've been talking to someone and they have either been anti-vax or they have said, I only did it because of work or something like that, or it's not actually necessary or something. So yeah, it's always a good thing when somebody...
Yeah.
I had a
But
similar
the people-
experience.
The people that say, I only did it because of work, I'm like, great.
Oh yeah, I don't care why you did it, to be honest. But
Glad you're vaccinated.
there was I was in a meeting the other day with someone who basically my boss was just talking about how it was, expected that everyone was vaccinated, and like obviously when everyone's vaccinated we can do this, and someone just said, like, what if we're not vaccinated? And everyone was like, why wouldn't you be? And they were like, well, I'm just hypothetically, if you weren't vaccinated. I'm like, oh, hypothetically, yeah. Sure, it's all hypothetical, but
Yeah.
I have a friend who isn't vaccinated.
yeah.
What would happen to him?
I really hate the like, well, you're a sheep if you're vaccinated. Like, you just don't, like, it's like, I don't know. We're following health advice from respected people, industries. Like, this isn't just like me going, well, everyone else is doing it, so I'm going to do it too.
And we've spoken about conspiracy think before, and how if you look at Occam's razor, if you take Occam's razor and use it to think about a conspiracy,
so just to reiterate, Occam's razor is the conclusion that has the fewest assumptions is usually the best explanation.
Yeah, basically. That's right. So if you are assuming that the vaccination is dangerous because of one of several things, or the classic example was that somebody in China produced the virus and then released it to the rest of the world, essentially. But the amount of assumptions that you have to make there is that they were able to produce a virus, that every single person that was involved in that process kept a secret, which that in itself is unbelievable.
Well, there's also, it's not just that though, it's that they were able to produce this virus, but it just happened to be a virus that was just deadly enough to be like slightly concerning, but not deadly enough that like was really concerning. So it was like just kind of on the edge of being like, oh, should we shut down or should we? Oh, I don't know. Like, it's like amazing that they came up with exactly the right amount of virus
the first time too, without any human trials. Because if they'd made it too deadly and there were human trials, people would have died. Like, there's just so many assumptions. So the what's probably the truth is the answer with the fewest assumptions, that there was a virus that originated from animals that made its way into
you mean
humans,
like every other virus
been
ever
happening for
all the time,
like literally
every virus that
evidentially every other virus pretty much that has existed has come from animals.
All that's happened is something that we're aware of that's been happening for thousands of years has happened again. It's just a bigger scale.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just that we've taken it more seriously, I guess, because it kills more people. That's literally all that's happened. Is like, we could have just ignored it and loads of people would have died. Like,
my point with that was that people that think that the government are trying to hide something from us, the government is not 2 or 3 people sitting in a room that's trying to keep a secret from the people of Australia. It's third-party groups that they're getting information from. The government aren't producing the vaccination either.
No,
certainly not our government.
Or really
you know what I mean?
Gaining anything substantial from.
No, other than losing a lot of money
by paying for the vaccine and providing it for free.
Exactly. Losing a lot of money on healthcare and having economic issues. So, what is the incentive for the government at this point?
Well, because it's a perfect tool to produce obedient little soldiers when they flick the button and activate the chips that are now inside our body.
Exactly, but yet another assumption is that in secret we've managed to develop chips that are small enough to be inserted through a vaccine. Like, how does that work? Where is this technology, and why is it not in everything?
Just one last thing, just quickly, because I'm conscious that we shouldn't spend another podcast
talking about COVID.
Talking about
it's too late. We've already been going 45 minutes, and most of it's COVID.
But something that has come up quite a bit lately is the fact that there are all these young people who now have heart problems because of the vaccination. Do you know much about that, Sam, or can you elaborate on what's going on there?
Yeah, from what I understand, there's a known side effect from the Pfizer vaccine, and I think the Johnson and Johnson in America as well, and possibly Moderna. There's a low risk of what's called myocarditis or pericarditis, which is essentially inflammation of the heart muscle or the membrane surrounding the heart. Generally, what it causes is chest pain, maybe some shortness of breath. It certainly feels very uncomfortable in the chest. However, it's treated with anti-inflammatories and resolves very quickly and with no lasting damage. There are very rare, occasional severe cases of myocarditis which require hospitalization and supportive care and that sort of thing. But those are exceedingly rare. The rates of myocarditis, I think, are quite low post-vaccination as well. And it's not something that's exclusive to the COVID vaccine. It's common after basically anything that activates your immune system, so either a vaccine or an infection of any kind. It's really common after getting like a cold sort of...
I imagine it's very common after getting COVID.
Yeah, look, I haven't seen that data, but I imagine it would be because it's the same with everything that's been shown to be a side effect of the vaccines. Sure, there is a risk of blood clotting with AstraZeneca. The risk of blood clotting after a COVID infection is much higher. So, but essentially the heart problems is temporary inflammation of the heart muscle, certainly uncomfortable, very simply treated with anti-inflammatories. Straightforward.
Yep. Yeah, okay. As with most things, it's a risk first reward. Even if you knew that somebody was going to suffer pericarditis or myocarditis after receiving the vaccination, chances are, knowing that it's treatable and mild and has no lasting effects, you would still prescribe the vaccination?
Well, if I knew that it was 100% that they were going to get it from that vaccine, I'd probably give them a different vaccine. But if the risk versus benefit is still far and away strongly in favour of getting vaccinated.
We should all get the vaccines.
Vaccinations.
Yeah. Just to go quickly back to something that we were talking about before, one of my favourite Latin names for a plant is the Acacia melanoxylon, which is blackwood, the Australian blackwood tree. It's a type
melanoxylon, of course it is.
Wattle. Yeah, because and the reason that it's called melanoxylon, or the reason actually they're linked, the tree is blackwood. So the Latin for black is melano, and the Latin for wood is xylo, which is xylophone.
Blackwood. It literally means it's an acacia blackwood.
That's right. And acacia itself, the genus Acacia, has Greek origins for...
That's annoying.
Yeah.
Mixing the Greek and Latin again.
For thorny Egyptian tree, or there's a type of... It probably would have meant thorny wooden tree. So...
thorny black wooden tree.
Which is what most acacias are. Quite a few of them have thorns or spikes, spiked leaves or spikes on them, and they're just a scrubby sort of tree. So it is a spiky tree that has black wood.
The one that you had in your backyard was not that spiky and scrubby. It was huge.
It was huge, and it's now looking flat and
in pieces that would fit into your fireplace.
Pieces? No, not in my fireplace. No? Pieces that would fit when glued together into my dining room as a dining table.
So you kept all that. That survived the cold of your shed, I take it.
Of course, yeah. I paid $600 to get it milled up, so I've been waiting 3 years now for it to dry out, and also for enough motivation to do it. But I need to get it milled again properly into boards. I need to put it through a thicknesser, and all of that wood that was in the tree in my backyard, that was a dying tree that was going to fall down on the neighbour's fence, is now ready to be turned into a dining table.
Can you wait another like 6 months or so that I can fly to Mount Gambier and help you build it, because that would be a lot of fun.
Probably.
Yeah,
Realistically, it probably won't get done in the next 6 months.
Good.
Sorry,
But it's
Chris,
taken
if
3
you're
years, so
Yeah. Oh, look, it's a job that I want to get around to. But sorry, Sam, we cut you off. You were about to say something.
it looks like he's concentrating a lot. As
No,
well.
all good. All good.
Probably COVID related.
I wanted to
Yeah.
talk about climate change because I'm
Yeah.
a little
Please
depressed
do.
about the state of the world. But
Let's talk about climate change.
well,
Do you have anything in particular in mind? Because I came across something just today, just
Go
this
on.
afternoon. I was getting a coffee in a cafe in between my races, and I came across.
in between
Well,
races.
Yeah, I had like 4 hours in between my
Oh,
races.
okay.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's annoying.
Just quickly send this to the group so I can put it up on the. Oh no, never mind. I found the actual source. There was a thing in the
Do you want me to go to you?
No, not yet. There was a poster up in the toilet, which was basically talking about the amount of carbon used per different type of milk that you can drink.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let me just show you. On
Oh, interesting.
oh, I did have it. There it is. So let me just. Where's my stream?
I'm interested to know this because I've recently switched to almond milk, not for a
No, don't do
wanky
it.
reason.
Oat milk.
Oat, is it? Well, what's
Yeah.
wrong with almond
Yeah,
milk?
I've switched to oat
Almond
milk as
uses a
well.
lot of water. So there was a bit more of a clean summary on the poster, but basically it said stop using dairy milk for several
Yeah,
reasons:
fair
emissions, land use, water use.
Mhm.
But there isn't. I noticed there isn't a deliciousness scale there.
No, there certainly isn't.
And what
there's
about
no
the calories?
taste is better. Well, yeah. So that's a very interesting point as well, because these artificial milks tend to have a lot more things like sugar and artificial sweeteners and all those kind of things in them to make them taste like milk.
Well, okay, I'm going to look up the calories.
I went through a stage where I only had oat milk, but it just isn't the same. So I really struggled. Like, I know I'm trying to use oat milk as much as I can, but
All right, so this is on Healthline.
do you want me to switch to
How
you,
would you
Lev?
feel about Healthline?
Sure. So oat milk isn't in here, but we've got
It's really
cow's
bad quality.
milk. Hang on, is this per 8 ounces? Is that 100 mils? How much is 8 ounces?
Oh god.
Can someone work that out, please?
Yeah, it'd be a cup, wouldn't it? Yeah, 236 mils.
So about a cup.
Yeah.
So per cup of milk, so full cream milk is 150 calories of cow's milk. 1% milk actually is not that much different. I thought there'd be a lot of difference, but there's 110 calories in semi-skim. Skim milk is 80 calories. Almond milk, and this is why I've chosen almond milk, is because there's 40 calories per. So I get it in my coffee when I go to anywhere these days,
So
and
oat
it's
milk is
quite
not on
tasty
there,
as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
about
actually,
almond milk, so
I do like almond milk in coffee. Gives it a nice little kind of nutty tone to it.
Yeah,
Whenever anyone says
so-
nutty, all I can think of is the
130 calories. So oat milk is almost as much as full cream milk.
Wow.
Yeah.
But have you considered the environmental impact, Levi?
Yes. No, but the graph that you showed before showed that oat milk was quite good for that's Streamception.
Streamception.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm back. It looks like almond milk is quite good for everything except water use.
It's actually the second
And-
highest behind dairy.
Yeah, but that's okay. Like, we can.
Well, it depends
We
where
can
it's
use
being
water.
made, I guess.
Yeah.
What I do wonder with this article, and unfortunately I can't actually read the source article. I just wonder if it takes into account things like obviously a cow is not used once you milk it.
Mm.
Whereas if you sow some oats and then you need to harvest the oats, etc., then you're having to re-sow and go through all that. I'm sure part of that is in there, but the other probably intangible things are quite often cows and other livestock are on land that is not farmable for other crops. So if we're not using that land for crops, so if the better option is to
the better option is
grow
to
oats there,
grow pine trees there, right, Levi?
Ah, yes. Yeah. Well, that locks up a huge amount of carbon if we're talking about carbon.
Sure does, and it's not pasture land usually. It's not, well, it is usually pasture land. It's not arable land.
Yeah.
So
but I do wonder how much that was taken into account, because I would be really interested to see whether all that is really taken into account.
I would also be interested to see that, but do you have access to that sort of stuff or not?
No.
Bummer.
Only medical journals, not general science.
Yeah, I don't know of any land that you could graze cattle on that wouldn't be suitable for every other type of crop, though.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think cattle
not dairy farms, cattle stations maybe.
Yeah,
but dairy farms you could grow anything on them because they're very highly productive because you need to produce a huge amount of grass and they receive a huge amount of fertilizer.
I was just about
to
say there's lots of fertilizer.
Yeah, supers and water is the big thing on dairy farms. You look at all the dairy farms around here. One of the biggest dairy farms in the Southern Hemisphere is just like 20 minutes down the road. And there's center pivot irrigators everywhere. It uses such a massive amount of water that's pulled from the aquifer.
It's quite interesting. Quite an interesting talk.
Well, the thing I wanted to talk about was we had a brief talk last week about nuclear power, and I know that you guys didn't have a chance to do any research, but I think I wouldn't say I've completely changed my mind, but I definitely have done enough research to know that the general consensus is that nuclear will probably form a fairly essential part of the energy mix while we transition fully to renewable.
What did you discover? What was it that swayed your decision?
Well, nothing in particular, but just the weight of the evidence in the rapidity of the ability to switch to nuclear from coal. Basically, it's just a matter of switching one off and switching the coal off and switching the nuclear on, vice versa.
And immediately gets rid of a lot of... I know there's still emissions involved in the mining process, but it still gets rid of a huge amount of emissions.
So when I say that I've changed my mind, what I mean is that I've come to accept that the transition to renewables is probably going to take longer than I would have liked.
Yeah.
My concern would still be that once we have functional, safe nuclear power plants, we'll just go, yeah, righto. That we've got functional, safe nuclear power plants, then we won't bother doing anything else. I don't
think that'll happen. Did you look at the lifespan of nuclear plants?
The lifespan of nuclear plants? No.
Yeah, they generally only last about 30, 35 years before needing to either be heavily invested in to keep running or to be replaced with a newer or a new nuclear plant. So,
and that's like pretty much any energy generation plant, though.
Yeah. But they're very, very expensive to keep running or to replace. So I think they'll enable a transition where we can drop those emissions quickly. But then once they run out, when we've got the actual renewable infrastructure in, the option then is just to not, because solar and wind, it's actually more cost effective to just bring those in than it is to build a new nuclear plant or to maintain an old nuclear plant.
But I think
it'll become more cost effective to just replace that with renewables rather than to try and keep it running.
I see what you're saying, but I think the same argument could be made for coal power plants.
Hey, it could be for sure. I think the other issue that we're running into is that there's not an unlimited supply of uranium.
Yes.
No.
And it will become harder and harder to, like, the longer it goes, the harder it's going to be to mine because it will take the easy stuff first, right?
Yeah,
But
sure.
so I found this paper, which I'll just get up here.
Did you look up Gen 4 plants?
I didn't specifically look up Gen 4 plants, but I did see a lot of literature about how much more efficient they are.
100 to 300 times more energy yield from the same amount of fuel.
Yeah,
Wow.
which is good, but it still doesn't solve the
Good.
fundamental... I mean, it's fantastic, but it still doesn't solve the fundamental problems that I'm talking about here.
Nuclear waste that remains radioactive for a few centuries instead of millennia.
Yeah.
Wow, is that right?
Yep, can use raw fuels.
But again, the waste is not the thing that I would be concerned about.
The ability to consume existing nuclear waste instead of mining new waste.
Okay,
instead of mining
all right.
new
When
uranium.
did you become a nuclear shill?
I just think that there's a really important role for it.
I know,
in this,
I don't
in this
disagree with
period
you.
from now until 2050.
Yeah.
I think to drop the emissions, what we need to do is drop emissions as quickly as possible. Because sure, everyone's going to get there by 2050, but they're not really. We're not really all going to get there by 2050.
No.
And while that's happening, our emissions are still increasing. They're not actually decreasing.
Yeah.
I think anything we can do to drop emissions is a massive win.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I guess my area of concern remains that the evidence would suggest, up until this point, that we're going to take the easiest possible path. And if that means sticking with the technology that we know and trust, then... So this paper, for example, was from October 2020, and I wasn't able to get the full article, obviously, for the same reasons that you can't, Sam. I mean, I can, but I'm not going to spend $10 to just look at this article. It's there's a larger scale national nuclear attachments do not tend to associate with significant lower carbon emissions, while renewables do, which is a correlation, not necessarily causation. We also find negative association between the scales of national nuclear and renewable attachments. So it suggests that nuclear and renewables tend to crowd each other out. Basically, it means that the nations have historically tended to go with one or the other and not both, not a mix. And
I think the issue is, though, we still don't have the energy storage and battery and grid technology to be able to run fully on renewables.
Well, that's another. It's funny that you said.
I guess
you
it
say
depends
that
on what
because
renewables
I
are,
also
when we talk about renewables, the people's heads go straight to solar and wind.
Yeah.
And as though that's the only, and it's not the only two. You've got stored hydro. There's geothermal, of which we don't have a heat in Australia, but there's other options. There's wave generation, which I think there's huge potential for that.
Yeah.
Which will all come eventually.
It will. Yeah. It has to. But I think so. It's interesting you make that argument, Sam, because then I also found this article, which is from 2004, that suggests that the climate problems can be solved in the next 50 years with current technologies. And that's from 2004. So our battery technology has increased significantly since then. And so this article suggested that no single element is a credible candidate for doing the entire job or even half the job by itself, but the portfolio as a whole is large enough that not every element has to be used. So there was plenty of technology in 2004. There's even more now. There's no excuse for not using many facets of technology to solve the problem.
See, what I still don't love about this, though, is that I don't love any option where we still need to be mining a resource to produce and store our electricity. Like, obviously, a certain amount of ore will need to be mined to produce the turbines for our wind farms and for our hydro. Solar panels.
But I don't... Yeah. How do you get away from that? What would you...
Oh, you can't. But when you're thinking about something like, lithium, for example, which has quite a high... And again, I don't know numbers or physics or statistics on this, but I'm led to believe that lithium has quite a high negative environmental impact from the mining and the byproducts from manufacture and refinement. Where when compared to something like silicon, which is what the solar panels are made out of.
That article, Matt, from 2004, was that country specific or worldwide?
I believe it was worldwide.
Because there certainly are countries in Europe that are 100% renewable energy.
No, it's
It is
humanity.
possible in some
Humanity
places.
already possesses the fundamental. Yes, so it's everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, over what time period can we do that? That's
Well, like
the
I said,
concern.
I'm not able to get to the article, but
Don't get me wrong. I 100% agree that the end game should be 100% renewable energy, but I just don't see it happening by 2050. And we've already, we set this target for 2020 or whenever it was, 2030, and we've already overshot it. I think anything we can do to reduce
it depends
emissions,
who you ask.
the better it is.
Well,
the target was 1.2 by 2020, and we're at 1.5.
You mean like the warming target?
Yeah.
I thought you meant because Australia,
gone
if you
past
ask
the
the Prime
warming
Minister, Australia is meeting its targets for 2030. So
Yeah, because everyone else changed their targets and we haven't, which is pathetic. We are.
well, it's
I
also
think I
an
heard
outright
somewhere
lie
we
because
are.
we haven't cut
Yeah.
emissions. We've only cut the amount of land clearing that we've done. So
Yeah, I think we're doing resources to amount of work done or amount of emissions cut. We're doing the worst out of any country in the world.
Yeah,
So that's
I
great.
read that. We finished dead last.
Yeah, which is really depressing.
Right.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree that we should be going fully renewable, but I just don't think it's going to happen quick enough.
Yeah.
I think anything we do to make it happen quicker, or anything we do to drop emissions quicker.
I think that, and so what I want to get across is that I totally agree with you. Now, especially now having done some research about it, I totally agree that anything that we can do to drop emissions, if that means nuclear, great, let's go nuclear. My hesitation. My apprehension comes from we need to be vigilant and make sure that it doesn't mean we just become reliant on nuclear as a technology that will save us and help us through this next phase.
I think the difference is going to be the money. There's a lot more money in non-renewables than there is in nuclear. I can't imagine there's going to be a huge amount of money for private company. Obviously, a lot of this is going to be publicly funded, but a very large proportion is going to be privately funded.
Yeah, but until once it starts being implemented on a wider scale, the cost will drop.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think the incentives, the earnings for private companies will be there for nuclear, because all you're doing is selling energy.
Yeah. What are coal companies do? What are like coal power plants doing?
Petrol, fuel, diesel.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. But I don't know. I would like to see. I wonder if there's a study on it. I would like to see that, because that would be really interesting.
Well, I had trouble finding really actual like good studies on this sort of thing. So
I think what nuclear would do is it would give us almost the ability to hit pause on our emissions that are at least generated through electricity generation, which we'd love to do. If we could just hit pause on all emissions until our technologies are good enough that we can drastically reduce them, and heck, maybe even one day get carbon negative, from replanting and coming up technologies for sequestration and whatever we might work out how to do. But I think nuclear does that. Like you say, Sam, whilst we develop these other technologies, which we're not doing yet, we haven't quite got there yet. We're getting there. It's getting there.
I think
way
we
better.
have though. I think that's the
Oh.
bit that I'm stumbling on is that I think we've got the technology, we've got the right mix. It's just the actual implementation that needs. If
it's the rolling it out is the issue.
If I said this a long time ago, I was having an argument with my dad about. Sorry to interrupt your story here, Levi, but this is an important point that I want to get across. My dad said. So I posted this thing on this cartoon on Facebook, and I'll see if I can get it up actually because it's still a
this
really
is brilliant.
good.
I've said this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I posted this on Facebook, and my dad reacted badly to it, and it ended in a. Oh, hang on, I'll switch to me. So if you can see that, it's a climate summit, and there's all the benefits of doing something about climate change: energy independence, preserve rainforests, sustainability, green jobs, livable cities, renewables, clean air, clean water and air, healthy children, etc., etc. And someone in the crowd is saying, "What if it's a big hoax and we create a better world for nothing?" And I mean, that's my argument about climate change. Is like, I don't care whether you believe it or not. Like, what if we accidentally create a better world? Oh no,
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's the worst thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I posted this on Facebook, and my dad reacted badly to it, and we ended up having a discussion about. It was pre-NBN, so he disagreed with the NBN implementation as well. And I said, well, okay. If we stop the NBN implementation and we instead put that money into a renewable energy strategy, basically, we invested in a company and we made a government-owned energy company that focused purely on renewable technology. Imagine a government-owned renewable energy company whose task it was only to provide affordable renewable energy to a wide consumer base. What is the downside there? What is give me the economic downside?
The cynic in me says red tape, government bureaucracy, cost, increased taxes, but we get that anyway.
Well, and also
even without a department like that existing.
We had Telstra was that for a long time until that was privatized. Like, this is not a new concept. It's not like I'm the first one to ever think of a government-owned industry or government-owned corporation. Like, it's forestry is that still in New South Wales. It's still a government-owned.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And so it provides profits to the government purely for the doing the thing that a corporation would normally do. What is the downside? I really don't. I don't think I ever got a satisfactory answer. Why would the government not invest in a renewable energy corporation and have that happen? I just don't understand. Like, yes, it would cost a buttload of money, an absolute ton of money, but like. Tell me that that's going to be less expensive than trying to mitigate the effects of climate change in 50 years' time.
But they're not worried about 50 years' time.
No, I know, but this is my point: is that somebody needs to be worried about 50 years' time.
Yeah,
I'm worried about 50. I'm worried about 10 years' time.
Yeah, what I do find really frustrating is that there are fantastic technologies that could help us push along, and this is what you've been saying as well, Matt. But why are they not being implemented? I read about a company that invented this grid storage idea that uses old car batteries, so car batteries that can't be used anymore, but they can be used to store energy for a power grid.
Right.
Why is that not a thing everywhere? That takes care of so many issues.
You say it with everything though, Sam. Cost is, I think
it's cost effective.
It's upfront cost though.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The only downside is the upfront cost. But like when you start a business, right? There's a huge upfront cost to starting a business. The whole point is that you're counting on making that money back in the future, right? Why can we not do that for renewable energy? I don't understand. Like huge upfront cost, right? If anyone can afford it, it's the Australian government.
Yeah.
Huge upfront cost, and then it pays itself back over. Levi's done this with his solar panels. Like it's not that hard. This is exactly the same thing that Levi has done with his solar panels. His huge upfront cost paid itself back in a couple of years, and then makes you money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is very frustrating.
Yeah.
And what I don't get I think, I didn't agree, obviously, but you could understand why governments were too scared to do anything about it because there was so much climate change denial and blah, 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 20 years ago. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone's on the same page.
Well,
that climate change is an issue.
Are they, though?
Need to...
I don't know about everybody. But...
Yeah, but
I mean,
a strong majority of people are on the same page.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to be losing voters or whatever they're worried about by investing in renewable energy or investing in electric cars or any of that kind of stuff.
Maybe that is what they're going to do. Maybe that is the what's in the plan, but nobody's seen the plan yet, so who knows what's in it.
And that's the thing is, we are going to do it. We are going to do it. We are going to do it. And then next election, and then it gets put by the wayside. And then, we are going to do it. And it's another 3 years and nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, we shouldn't be talking about politics.
Well, too late now. I just had a massive rant about politics, but anyway.
Very frustrating.
Did anybody see have you been seeing Clive Palmer's anti-coal, the United Australia Party? I
got a text message from them the other day.
Did you message him back? Say, hey, Clive, can I come see your Dino Land?
No, I got the message and all it said was, Australia, click on this link. That's like the spammiest spam that ever spammed. Yeah. Who is going to click on that?
Click on this not spam link. Definitely not spam.
Definitely not spam. Maybe I should click on it now and just see what happens.
Spam's like spelled wrong or something.
No, the ad, I've been getting ads on YouTube, and it's the United Australia Party. And it was after Scott Morrison announced that, to abandon coal, essentially to stop funding coal and to... I can't remember exactly what the legislation was or what the commitment was, but it was something to get rid of coal, essentially, by 2050, 2030 even. Anyway, I can't remember. But the United Australia Party, the ads came up and said, thanks a lot, ScoMo. No coal, no jobs, no future. So that's a political party.
Who do they think is going to work in the solar panel, in all the other energy generation? No jobs there.
I wonder how Clive Palmer gets his money. Oh, that's right. He's the chairman of a mining company.
Oh, yeah.
Shocker. That's so ridiculous.
Well, I just tried to go on the link that was in the text message, and I'm getting an error saying this site can't provide a secure connection.
So you should probably go ahead with it. It's probably fine.
I literally cannot get to it. UAP aus.info.
It's their party website, and you can't go to it.
Yeah, look, I'm literally gonna swap. This is literally what I'm getting right now.
United Australia Party's website, and Google's like, no.
It's
don't do that.
Yeah, it's like, nah, we've taken it down. I don't know. Literally, UAPAUS.info. Yep, that's it. Suckers.
Wow. So dodgy.
It's redirected me to UAPCraigKelly.com.
Craig Kelly.
Craig Kelly, even better.
Brilliant.
Oh, Carrig. Craig. Oh my god, I can't type. Craig. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's give up on that. Anyway, who cares about Craig Kelly?
Yeah.
It's probably for the best.
Shall we move on to some recommendations? I need to go to bed.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. Good idea.
Let's do it.
What have you got? You hit us off.
I don't know.
All right, I'll go first.
I need to think of something.
Okay, I'll go first. What do you mean you need to think of? That was your idea.
It was, but I don't know what I recommend.
You're like, hurry up, let's just get it done with. Come on.
What I would recommend is that everybody should go. If you don't already have a library card, Go out and get
yeah.
a library card, your local
Definitely.
library. You can even sign up online. I did to the Mount Gambier City Library, and then what you can use that library card for me, I can't read, so um, books don't. No, what I mean is I don't really have very much time to sit down and do nothing except stare at a book because I spend so long in a car, and when I'm not in the car, I'm at work, and when I'm not at work, Matt's got some sort of
My
emerging.
recommendation would be staying in the room and on the microphone while we're podcasting.
Sounds like perhaps an intruder.
I'm listening, Levi.
Oh, Matt's just giving us a rude
I am
hand
listening.
gesture.
I'm listening.
Apparently, my recommendations were boring, so Matt's just like, I'm out of here. I'm interested to see what's happening though, and I'm very distracted now.
Yeah.
No, just keep
What's your
going.
recommendation?
I'm just getting a book. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
I see.
Thanks for keeping us up to date, mate. I was about to call the police. I thought someone was coming through your front door and you were having to defend yourself. So my recommendation is what you can do. There's a few different apps. One's called Libby that I know of. Another one is called BorrowBox. I use Libby mostly. And what you can do is you can use your library card to borrow audiobooks that you would normally have to pay for if you were using something like Audible. There is, because it's a library, essentially it's an online library, there is a wait time. And on some of the more popular releases, so for example, there's a new movie coming out June that's based on the June science fiction novel.
It's a great
and
book.
I thought, I better read that book or at least listen to the audiobook before the movie comes out. And so I tried to borrow Dune, the novel, and there was a 12-week wait.
Oh my god!
Wow.
I've listened to some great books. I think I even recommended it through Fire and Ice, which is a book about the Aurora Australis, the Australian Antarctic icebreaker. I've listened to other adventure novels, a heap of good books. Currently, I'm reliving my childhood and listening to the Harry Potter series, which
Nice.
is
Stephen Fry?
I could not. Yes, yeah, the Stephen Fry narration. Beautiful
Nice.
voice. I couldn't ever commit to reading 7 books. I don't think in my life. Like at the moment, I just don't read very much because I'm a busy person, and if I'm sitting down, usually it's interacting with my boys. So I don't really ever just read books anymore. But yeah, if you get Libby, you can listen to these, and it's totally free, and it uses your library card. So sign up, get a library card, and get Libby, and get listening to some excellent audiobooks. That's my recommendation.
That's pretty awesome.
Nice.
I'm gonna piggyback off your Stephen Fry Harry Potter recommendation and recommend Mythos by Stephen. Oh, you can't see because nope. Where am I going?
It's just me.
Oh, can't say. Yeah, okay, got it. Good job. Cool.
Cool. Mm. All right. Well, it's about as far as you can get from scientific literature, which is what you would normally be recommending.
Matt,
But,
your
yeah.
audio's not working on the stream. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
we can hear you in our call. I can
Yeah,
hear you.
we can hear. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, for everyone who who hasn't been listening to me rant about how much I love Stephen Fry, Stephen Fry's Mythos is the book that I'm recommending. There you go. That's all. I did have a nice big rant about how good Stephen Fry is, but that's all right. Whatever. Stephen Fry's a legend. Read his books. That's all. Go, right. Sam.
All right. I'm going to do another YouTube channel. I'll show you. It's Ethan Schlabowski, I think is how you pronounce his name. Basically, there's a few cooking YouTube channels that I follow. Joshua Weiss. I don't think surely I've recommended Joshua Weiss.
Yeah, you have.
But I mean,
he's
yeah. This guy I kind of found through him somehow. Oh no, he was on a Babish video a couple of weeks ago, and I started looking at his stuff. He's similar to those guys, except it's he's more of like a home cook rather than using like a lot of professional restaurant style stuff. He uses pretty minimal equipment and things that most people would have. He also is more health focused than they are. So basically all of his meals have a macro breakdown. And he does kind of but healthier kind of things like lower calorie pizza and lower calorie hoagie, lower calorie burger. So yeah, pretty cool.
Looks like you've watched quite a few.
Oh yeah. I love me.
Why did he stop boiling his pasta water?
I don't know. I didn't watch that one.
Right, I'm gonna have to.
I'll have to watch that one. Yeah, so that's my recommendation.
Cool. All right. Well, what do we think?
I think that's
pull the pin, make like a guillotine and head off.
Start talking about politics again.
Wow. Yeah, or not. Well, that has been a technically difficult stream. How about that? Because we've just had some serious issues today. But anyway, that's fine. My computer's decided to have a mind of its own today. So
our one guarantee in this biz is that each episode or stream we will provide you with evidence that we are complete amateurs.
Yeah. And definitely not pre-recorded if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, obviously not.
Having said that though, I just want to touch on this quickly. What you're seeing here on the live stream looks quite simple. It's just us three boys. But this is actually a technological marvel that I couldn't have put together. And I still don't know. It's just magic to me. Matt did all of this. Everything that you're watching, Matt put this together. And he's done an amazing job. But essentially, what he's getting from us is a Microsoft Teams call. Actually,
it's two Microsoft Teams calls on two different computers.
Yeah, because you're on as a guest on this. You're on this call twice.
Yeah, because to make you guys big enough so that I get enough quality, I have to have two different computers running your faces on each one. So it's a pain. But...
And so that we can do this and put our screens up, we're not just using webcams. We're using a program called Streamlabs. And so all of this gets stitched together in Matt's version of Streamlabs that he has to change the size of what he's receiving and where it is on his screen and just stitch it all together into a nice little package that then makes its way to our live streaming platform. So it really is amazing that it can even happen at all.
I mean, I'm still surprised that it works, but and sometimes it doesn't work. So it's fine. But I forgot to plug my moustache as well. So
yes,
donate to Movember. My link for my Movember page is in the description of whatever platform you're watching on. It is a very worthy cause, and please go and check my page out and donate as much as you possibly can to support men's health, especially men's mental health. Very important cause that we don't talk about quite enough. Just to catch up on our chat, Nikki Gregory, who's that? She seems very attractive. She says a borrow box is another amazing another amazing app for audiobooks using the library cards. So that's the one that I've used as well. Yeah. So links to all our social media stuff. Sure. Yeah, shout out to Nikki. Your boyfriend must be very attractive as well.
Was till he started growing a moustache.
Yeah, that's true. Now he looks like an 80s porn star. So links to all our socials are in the description. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I don't think Instagram is in the description, but you'll find us, IdioFacto. And yeah, come and join us next week at about 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. And
7:30 Australian Central Daylight Savings Time, which is the official time of IdioFacto.
What's that in GMT?
Yeah.
Come on, Sam. You want to be a smart ass?
It's 9:30, I think, is it?
No, it's 0. Like GMT is 0. But
11 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. There you go.
11 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Okay, cool. Well, that's what it is now. It wasn't. Anyway, come and join us. It's Australian Eastern Standard Daylight. No, Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Throw me off, Sam. I'm going now. Everyone, thank you for joining us this week. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye, all.
Bye.